Hey, we are live for our first time, and this is going to be awesome, and we'll see what's going on. Let me get the word out, and yeah. All right. All right, welcome to Graphic Policy's first ever comic shoot live. We've never done this before. I've done some live stuff here and there, never one for the site. So basically, if you want more live content from us, share this around, ask us some questions, engage, all that stuff. So as we begin, I want to describe what Comic Shoot is. Comic Shoot is a new videocast podcast series. The goal of this is to basically cut through the bullshit. It's not going to be a show that is about latest releases or promoting, whatever's coming up. Talking to creators about their career, stuff like that. This is really going to be. This has been the idea was a show that's all about cutting through the bullshit, telling the truth, being blunt. So I'm going to clean up while we're doing this, make myself a little room. Be blunt, tell the truth behind the comic industry. So it's the one where we're not covering for people. We're not asking the softball questions. It really is the point is to ask hard questions. So still trying to get guests. We got some cool guests, I think, coming up in the next couple months. It's been really interesting. I put out a lot of questions to or invitations to politicians, to people in the industry. It's interesting is the ones who are on the edge that have nothing to lose are the ones who are willing to do it. So to me, this is also a barometer of creators and people in the industry who have guts and are willing to like speak the truth and not be censored. Like this is kind of the whole idea of this is to be blunt, like, ask some hard questions, see what happens. So I'm describing this as episode 1.5. We had our first episode, which was really, really great, with Brian Hibbs, was the owner of Comic Experience, which is a fantastic shop out in San Francisco. Really great talk with him. If you haven't watched it, go check the archive. It's a fantastic conversation. We'll definitely have Brian back again. Brian's exactly the type of guest that I want on the show. Just blunt, willing to say what he believes and what he thinks, and go from there. So yeah, as I said, we're gonna have some future guests and kind of call it the bullshit stuff that I've wanted to do for a while, that I've kind of danced around with, and I actually think chats with people is gonna be the smarter way of doing it instead of me writing. So here we got a chat here. The whole idea is I want questions from you. This really is going to be kind of an AMA. Ask me anything. We'll see if I can do this without my glasses and not see the glare. This really is an AMA, and I want you all to ask questions, to ask hard questions. So, fire off whether or not you are doing it in the chat. Oh, I really can't see. Fire it off in the chat, or you can hit us up through social media as well if you really want. So yeah, what should we start with? Well, we'll start with the conversation. So obviously the big thing last year was the purchase of, or the Chapter 7 case of Diamond. Like that was one of the biggest stories. I kind of think it was part of bigger stories that a lot of people in the industry found lawyers and started to have no problem doing lawsuits and going after each other and fighting the good fight. already I think 2026 is winding up to be an interesting year for entertainment, beyond just the comic industry, but it impacts the comic industry. So I think the big story that a lot of sites are sleeping on is the fight currently between Paramount, Skydance, and Netflix over Warner Brothers. Now, I just did a article that's related on this, but I think it's a very interesting article that is important to go with this. So why is this a big deal? So Paramount Skydance is owned by the Ellisons. Ellison is one of the richest people in the world. Sometimes he's number one, usually number two. Was founder of Oracle, like ungodly amounts of money. Ellison has donated millions and millions of dollars to go and skewer the election. And for those who are paying attention, Skydance bought Paramount, merged the two companies, which put them in charge of CBS. If you haven't been watching the news, CBS, they put a right-winger named Barry Weiss in charge of CBS and winding up buying, or CBS News, and buying Weiss's right-wing blog for ungodly amounts of money that was way overvalued and has no point. Weiss has basically been going in and just driving CBS down the toilet. So this is where the somewhat conspiracy theory comes in on this. So Ellison has bought CBS. They have CBS News, one of the most respected news organizations in the world. That's going completely right wing, and now they're attempting to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. Them and Netflix are fighting over Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery is Warner Brothers Studios. It's HBO Max, and a whole bunch of strings of a whole bunch of TV channels, one of which is CNN. CNN is also a fairly respected news organization. I say fairly. They have had better days. I grew up with them, with the Scud Stud. They've generally become, I think, a parody of themselves. But they're trying to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. So they'll have CNN, and of course, they will absolutely drive that into the ground, just like they were doing CBS. Thank you for those who are watching. Please go ask questions. Let's put that in. Please ask questions. So they're of course going to go try to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, get CNN, everything that brings with that. But part of Warner Brothers Discovery is also DC Comics. They would wind up purchasing DC Comics and going from there. So it's an interesting thing. That's where this ties into the comic book industry. It is a direct attempt to purchase something within the comic book industry. Now, what's interesting also is Netflix, who's the rival, bought Millerverse, Mark Millar's world of set of characters. They've done some shows off of that. They've done some, they've attempted to do some stuff with it. And we can debate on the success of that. So they have at least some experience with the comic book industry. Netflix is looking looking for content, so they're not going to screw with DC. They're looking for content to fill up their shows and all that. So when it comes to content and all that, probably Netflix is a safer bet. So the likelihood would be is if Ellison and Warner Brothers and Paramount winds up buying Warner Brothers Discovery, they're going to cause it to be a right-wing lurch for some of it. What's interesting also is the news come out that TikTok is officially being purchased by American Consortium, part of which is Oracle, which is Ellison. So Ellison is consolidating clearly information resources or sources by having purchased CBS, so CBS News. They now have TikTok, which is a large source of news for a certain generation, and then trying to also buy CNN. This is not a conspiracy. This is just very bluntly, clearly what's going on. So Ellison is attempting to gobble up the purveyors of information for various generations. CBS, I'm going to guess, it leans a bit older. TikTok would be younger. CNN is probably in the middle as far as age-wise. So, the likelihood is they're trying to get the complete sweep of getting information out of there. This is bad. It's obviously bad. Not saying Netflix purchasing WBD is going to be better, but Ellison's and Paramount Skydance getting a hold of it is going to be a disaster. Let's go with that. So Netflix, as far as I'm concerned, is the safer of the two options. And if you've read my writing on the site, it's very clearly I'm leaning towards Netflix being the safer of the two options. I'm, as a what I'm considering myself a journalist, I actually give a shit about this. I want a good, thriving news environment out there, and Ellison's are the antithesis of that. I also want DC to be able to do good entertainment, just pure entertainment, and not necessarily have dictation to be a certain way. Again, I think the Ellisons would do that and use that as a way to try to use propaganda to sway generations of fans with that. 2 people are watching. I want to hear questions. We got to chat here. Throw in some questions. I'm going to rant for a little while if there's no questions. Anything you wanted to ask, like, throw it in there. We are just going with rants and seeing how this goes. If it goes well, we'll do more. So as I was saying, so I think the Ellisons would be a disaster for purchasing WBD. So here's where the bids are. So Netflix has revised their bid. The initially bid 20, I think it's like 23.5 or something like that. Was their initial bid cash plus $425 in stock, which would have been $27.75 total between stock and cash. The Ellisons and Paramount, along with a whole bunch of other people, one of which would be Jared Kushner, who is Trump's son-in-law, as well as some Middle Eastern investors, were offering $30 in cash. So this is where the interesting thing is the news came out today with or I think maybe earlier this week with some filings as to the value of it. So this is where the bids get really intriguing. So Paramount keeps on saying it's $30 in cash is better than the $27.75. Well, yeah, no shit. $30 is better than $27.75. But this is what Paramount leaves out in their bids. Paramount would purchase all of Warner Brother Discovery. Netflix is only looking to purchase a portion of Warner Brother Discovery. Netflix is looking to purchase basically Warner Brother Studios, HBO, and HBO Max. Now, Netflix getting HBO Max would add to another streamer. HBO Max, I believe, is number 3 as far as streamers. So you'd have the number 1 streamer and the number 3 streamer being owned by the same company. Obviously, that's got issues when it comes to consumers, but putting that to the side right now. So Netflix would purchase just a portion of the company. Paramount would be looking to purchase all of Warner Brothers. So it would be Warner Brothers Studios, HBO Max, as well as channels such as Discovery, such as CNN. And now the question is how much is that valued? And that actually came out in filing this week. I kind of wanted to talk about, and we did a story about this earlier today, but I think it's really important. It's really relevant because I think this is part of what a lot of folks are missing on this. I've seen a lot of people talk about how the Paramount deal is, and there's no way in hell it's a better deal. So the value of those TV stations, Paramount says there is no value. They actually, the quote is, they stated the channels have little to no equity value. So in a recent filing by Warner Brothers Discovery, they said CNN, which is one of the channels owned, collected $1.8 billion in revenue this year and is projected to be $2.2 billion in 2030. It's actually going up. The Russia channels without CNN are currently at $9.9 billion of revenue, and it's going to drop to $7.7 billion by 2030. So it's going to go down by 2.2, while CNN is going to go up by about 400 million. So the overall value is going to drop over the next 4 years, but we're still talking. Well, if it's the 1.8 plus the 7.7, 8.7, so it's $9.5 billion in revenue. Profit-wise, you're looking at somewhere about $2 billion. $2 billion by 2030. It's going to be $3.8 billion from 2026. So if the value of the stock, the $2.50, there is, I have the math on this. So the shares would be 250 shares at 2.48 billion shares, comes about to be $6.2 billion. So that is about 2 to 3 years of profit of these TV channels, that all it takes for Paramount to make their money back. So while they say these TV channels have no value, they would return their value within 3 years. And we're talking profits. We're not talking the overall revenue. We're talking straight profits if just these projections are right. So to say that these have no value is complete utter crap. There's absolute value in the channels, and that's what Paramount is leaving out in their bids and discussion and their hostile attempt to take over Warner Brothers Discovery. So that's the long rant. So the short version is, after 15 minutes, the short version is Paramount who is clearly showing right-wing leanings, horrible politics, in my opinion. You can't trust them, is attempting to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which also owns DC Comics. If you care about DC Comics, you should care about this story. This should be something, as a journalist, as other sites should be covering regularly, because this is a big deal. Fact is, we do not see this being discussed in the comic media, when it should be, I think, one of the top stories. Like, this is the big story for 2026. Diamonds, Chapter 7, process, Chapter 11 to Chapter 7 was the big story of 2025. This is the big story for 2026. So also, we got lawsuits against Midjourney, which includes Marvel Comics and DC Comics. That will be another big story. I'm fully predicting. So, yeah. So, Carlos, how you doing? It's cool. I'm gonna say we're international now. If you're talking to us from Chile, it's very, very cool. Are you a comic fan? I'm gonna ask some questions to you all. If you want questions to me, feel free in the chat. I am an open book. We're gonna stay on for maybe a half an hour or so, another 10, 11 minutes. So if you've got questions for me, go for it. I want to hear what you have to say and go from there. Right now we're blowing up on Blue Sky. We posted up an article about the takeover of TikTok by the Ellisons and how much of a shit show that's going to be. So apparently I hit something, because it's going big. So ask questions. I want to hear the question from you. We got a couple of you watching, so drop them into the chat. So Carlos, as I said to you, are you a comic fan? Do you read comics? What are the big comics in Chile? I'd love to know. Actually, it's something I've wanted to do for such a long time, is expand the site and really cover comics, not just in the US, but like elsewhere. So did a little bit of like comics from Africa, which was kind of cool, but I want to see more. I want to do more. That'd be great. Problem is like I horrible with foreign languages, and I don't know, maybe I'd be able to use Google Translate. That'd be kind of cool. We got some people watching. Welcome to the people that hopped on. This is open forum. Ask me anything. Throw a question in the chat. I want to see what you got going. We just went off on a long rant about the attempt of purchase of Warner Brothers Discovery by Netflix and Paramount Skydance. What I think it would be an utter disaster for Paramount Skydance to take over that company, and why the comic book industry should care about this story, and the journalists and sites out there should be covering it. I don't think they really are. Just throw it out there. Let's see what you got to say in the comments. Come on, let's see if anyone has anything. Carlos spoke up. Let's see what anyone else wants to. Anyone? Bueller? Yes? No? All right. Let's see here. What other great stories have we had lately? So the other one, another big one that we covered that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of folks, is there was a lawsuit last year. It's gotten settled this year. So I said 2025 was the year of lawsuits when it came to the comic book industry. Big one was a bunch of comic creators sued Cadence Comic Art. Now, Cadence Comic Art was a comic book dealer, or was a original comic art dealer. 17 artists wound up suing them, claiming fraud, and basically they were like selling stuff without proper tracking. They weren't being paid the right amount. Just a whole bunch of really, really shady stuff. Now, the crazy part of this is I have purchased art from Cadence Comic Art probably it was over a decade ago, like 15 years ago, something like that, about when this started, which is what's crazy. So the story that I've got, so I purchased a piece. I don't remember the art I purchased from Cadence Comic Art. It never showed up. And I wound up pinging them saying like, hey, this piece got lost. what happened with this? So they wanted to give me credit at more. I think it was like 50% more value than the piece I purchased. So if like I bought it for 400, they gave me like $600. Yeah. All right. We'll talk. Yeah, Carlos, did you comment on an earlier video that we did? So I'll talk about DC Combat Comics in a second. That's a great question. So I bought the Cadence comic art, the art from them. It was the cover of one of the covers of Revival. It was the one with her stitching. I forgot what issue it's like, issue 37 or 17, something like that, whatever. Really well-known piece of art. So what I purchased and how I wound up purchasing it sounds exactly like what was going down with Cadence comic art. So they wound up taking this court. The court case kept on getting delayed. The artists have now asked the court to stop the case, and that they have settled with Cadence comic art. We have no idea what the settlement is. This news broke, I think, last week. We did it first. Of course, because we broke it first, we didn't get credit for it. Other sites got shared around, but I'm not bitter. So the artists settled with that, so that case is closed. So at least one of the 4 comic-related lawsuits from 2025 has been settled. So at least one of them is done. Carlos, great question. So your question is, what do I think of DC Compact Comics? So I think you commented on one of my videos about that. So I love DC Compact Comics. I think the $9.99 price point is freaking brilliant. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm using it to pick up and read comics that I've never read before. And I think that's kind of the cool thing about it. It is a cheap way to dive in to go and purchase comics. And it's sad to say $10 is an easy way to dive into comics, but look, that's the reality that we live in. So you're getting pretty much a full story, or at least a full arc for $10, which is a hell of a deal. The good is you're able to get all these classic stories for $10. It's awesome. New Frontier I've never read before. That was absolutely amazing. I was able to check out Superman Rebirth. I think it was Rebirth. That was good. It was entertaining. I could see why people like it. You can revisit classics. I reread V for Vendetta because of that. Watchmen because of it. I think it is an amazing way to pick up tons of really cool classic comics. There's some of great ones coming out this year. I've got them all pre-ordered. We'll be covering it every single release. That's a guarantee. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm the only site covering every single release for DC Comics, but I'm covering every release for DC Comics and reviews. So I think they're absolutely fantastic. The bad of it, so there is, I think, 2 issues that I've seen with them. They're not consistent as far as the size of them. So there are some that are rather thick. There's some that are rather thin. A great example of that is Joker was rather thin. And then this week, Batman Gotham by Gaslight was rather thin as well. So $10 doesn't get you the same experience every single time. So that's, I think, the bad of it. The other bad is there are a few of them where the size has not worked in their favor. Arkham Asylum that came out was unreadable. Absolutely was unreadable. Really cool art, amazing art. If you just bought it for the art, it was totally fine. But as far as the actual text of it, like, there was just parts of it you could not get through and read at all. So that's the negative of it. I think there's like 2 issues that have been like that, or 2 releases that have been like that. So generally it's been pretty positive. It's been pretty good. I've liked it. Like, I think they're cheap. They're a great way to dive into comics. The other thing, talking to their local shop, like the local shop I go to can't keep them in stock. They're selling and selling and selling. And what they've noticed is that it's kind of what I'm describing, is that a lot of people are diving in and reading stuff they've always wanted to read. And for $10, it's a great way to go about it. The other aspect of it is that it is a great way to commute. So if you are in an area like me that's got a lot of metro and travel like that, it is a fantastic way for individuals to be able to, pick up something to read while they're on the bus, while they're on the metro or whatever, going to work and traveling around. So I think they're doing exactly what they're doing. You know, if I was DC, I'd be pushing them heavily in bookstores around train stations. I'd be pushing them at bookstores at airports. I think they're doing amazing. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Is, you know, the fact that they haven't done this in a long time blows my mind. And the big thing with it is that the DC Compacts is, in theory, they've made their money for these stories already. This is value add beyond the cost of the printing, you know, the, you know, actually putting it together, the printing and getting it out, like, and you know, they got to pay their royalties, but all that should be in the $9.99. So they pick that price point for a reason. I'm sure they're making a few bucks off of these every single one they go out there. It's not like they need to sell these to go and pay back like the original costs of the story. So I think it's a brilliant thing. The interesting is Marvel has their own version. Marvel's version is $14.99 price point. Also, great stories. Really similar concept. Take like well-known stories, thrown out there in a great priced book or great priced package. Marvel's a little bit different is that they do have some extras in there. So there's usually an intro that is new, and then they've got kind of the back material that I think is always that's been in the trades that have come out too. So Marvel has a little bit of extra for $5 more. They also haven't had the issue with the thin volumes that we've seen in DC. So between the two of them is awesome. I believe Vault Comics is going to be coming out with these, or is coming out with these. They've got a few releases. Money Shot, I believe, is one of them. I don't know the other ones they're going to be doing. So I would fully expect you're going to see more and more publishers taking on this concept of evergreen stories that are going to sell well. They're going to be picked up by individuals to get interested in comics, and ones they've already made their money on. Like doing new releases in this, maybe someday for special stuff. But I think what's good is this is it is a way to revitalize their archive and books that have maybe been not quite as hot, and give them a shot in the arm and let them go and rock. So to me, like, it is a fantastic thing. Like, I'll buy a $9.99 book all freaking day long. You know, getting 12, 20 page, you know, 20 issues for $9.99 is a hell of a deal. I mean, most of them come out to be like, that I've seen for DC, it's what, like 50 cents a book, you know, an issue, which is, you can't really argue for that. So beyond the small little printing issues, the small little like text issues for reading, I think they've been absolutely fantastic. And I if you're starting to read and improve your English, it's a good way of going about it. I mean, comics has been shown as a fantastic way to learn to read, to expand vocabulary, and go from there. So, I mean, if that's what you're using it for, like, props to you. It's really cool. So, yeah, I mean, keep it up. There's some great stuff coming out there. Let me go see what I can just go look at here. Let me see what I've got ordered that I'm looking forward to, because there is a bunch of releases. So let's see here. So my orders, not yet shipped. Let's see here. Let's check what is coming out. That's a manga. All right, we've got Injustice, which would be pretty cool. Injustice: Gods Among Us. That's one I really want to read. Batgirl of Burnside, I think it should be really good. I remember reading the original ones of that. That was always a great series. That one before. So that comes out. We got Batman Under the Red Hood, should be really good. The one I'm really looking forward to, I remember reading this originally, I think I still have the trades, is Gotham Central. Gotham Central, if you've never read that, like, it is awesome. It's the GCPD, Gotham Police Department, focused on them and not so much Batman. It's a really, really good one. You got Green Arrow Year One. That should be entertaining. I think I've read that one. Batman White Knight, I didn't really like it. The first issue I read, I'm willing to give it a shot again and see how if I like it, that one. We got Batman Dark Knight, Dark Knight Returns, so that's gonna be, I mean, that's a classic. Flash Rebirth is, I think I've read that one. We also got Nightwing leaping into, let's see what this one is. Leaping into the Light. I don't know that one. It's Tom Taylor, Brutal Run. So it's the recent run of Nightwing, which is intriguing. That might be the most recent one they've done. I think that might be the most recent release. But people love the Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo Nightwing, so that should be fun too. So there's some good releases coming out for DC Compacts. The Marvel one, we got Planet Hulk, which I remember reading and generally enjoying. Garth Ennis Punisher. As Punisher, welcome back. You've got Spider-Man Worlds Collide. So yeah, there's some good stuff coming out. So yeah, what else questions you got? No other questions. We might wrap this up. Anyone going once, going twice? All right. We've been on here for 30 minutes. I really appreciate y'all watching. We're going to do this more often, maybe get a little bit better at it. So stay tuned. And of course, you can check us every single day at graphicpolicy.com and find us everywhere at Graphic Policy on Facebook, TikTok, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky. All consistent. Graphic Policy. Really appreciate it. Until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky.